I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people. All right, follow me with this.
But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
You want to pray us out?
I do.
We'll pray for Tina. And let's have conversations about what truth is. You're up.
Are we on now?
We're on.
Well, I can't. My mic's not working and I can't hear anything. So.
Oh, you can't hear anything?
Yeah.
Matt can't hear anything in his ears.
Is my mic on? Can you hear me? Right
Yeah,
there?
I can hear you.
Right there on a Friday, on an incredible Friday day.
Yeah. So I think it might be. I can't reach it.
Is it?
It's probably the plug-in right here.
Oh, it's not plugged in. Okay, that's what it is.
Okay.
So you can
Matt-
hear me, but I can't hear myself.
Yeah. So Matt's going to plug that in.
Yeah.
Everyone say hi to Winner. Who's Winner?
That right there is the most beautiful baby of all time.
Say hi.
Say
Who's
hi.
that? Winner, who's that? What? Who's that, Winner? Who is that? Yeah, okay. Jared's going to jump in behind you and take care of this. So Winter, you want to tell everyone who you are? Winter is Matt's baby girl. Huh. And she believes we should free Tina Peters too.
She does. Yeah, she's a big fan of that. She's considered multiple times going to Tina Peters and freeing her herself. You know, she can crawl through easily in some of the smaller spaces within the prison and maybe could get a couple set of keys and let her out. She's considered it heavily. I told her, I was like, baby, no. We can't risk that. We don't want you going to baby prison, but she may do it anyway. So just for if anyone wonders why is your baby in baby prison, that may or may not be why, if it happens.
Yeah, so if you wonder why the mic is in front of me, it has to be above Winter's head. I tried to give her to Matt. She's like, no, I'll stay here. I was fine. I'm good.
Yeah, she says, I'm good. I'm good with Joe. You know, Joe's going to be holding me for the show. I'm comfortable. It's all good. He has the stickers. You don't have the stickers, Daddy. Joe has the stickers. It's not a fair battle.
It is absolutely not. We're going to talk more about the DOJ today. And there's a fight going on. So who's right? Who's right in the fight of Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi?
You know, it's interesting because right now Trump is getting a lot of calls, as he always does. So is Pam Bondi, so is Dan Bongino. And there's two polar opposites. There are people who are calling and telling them, we want you to censor this. We don't want you to talk about Epstein. We don't want the files to be out. We don't want the names to be out. We want none of it to happen at all. And then the opposite of that is, hey, this is important. You need to release it, even if there's people that are going to get called out who you are having donate money to you. That's probably why they donated the money, because they wanted you to stay silent. That's not enough. You still need to release it. And so those two opposing viewpoints are clashing back and forth, while at the same time, Dan Bongino may be fired from the FBI. That's a possibility. Kash Patel, we don't know if he will or won't. Again, he is the deputy director. There's a lot of levels down of the FBI. Technically, Dan's not at the very top, but he is in a very influential, important position. And right now, that is under scrutiny because he's not using the power he has in a way that the base wants.
I would agree with that. And we keep talking about it over and over and over again. All right. We keep talking about this over and over and over again. So I keep looking up and seeing this shadow. Dan Bongino took a day off. And now they're saying that he might resign. Let's go ahead and put it up. This is from Axios. You don't really know what's true or not because they keep making stuff up, but this is okay. Let's go ahead and put it up. FBI's Dan Bongino clashes with AG Bondi over handling of Epstein files. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a little bit unfair to write this article because Dan Bongino is not any more for releasing it than Pam Bondi is, and Pam Bondi is not any more for releasing it than Dan is. They are told by Trump, and by other people who have a more influential position than them within the administration, that you can't fully release this. And they say the reason why, I'm not saying Pam Bondi's a bad person. She's being told, don't release it because there's victims on there and their names will come out. And even if you release it redacted, people could still figure it out. That's what she's being told. And Dan is being told the same thing. And they don't have time to read through all of it. It's so many pages. They don't have time, and they could if they really want to. They're not going to. So they haven't read it. Neither of them have. They can get summaries from their employees. That's about the extent of it, which could go through the chain of talking and be slightly misinterpreted. And so as a result, there's now this limbo where we have a little bit of a battle. Dan is trying to stay true to his word. Pam's trying to stay true to her word. But at the end of the day, I don't have any confidence with the powers that be currently that they're going to release the rest of the files. Some of them have already come out. We'll give them credit for that. Some of them were leaked. We'll give ourselves credit for that. And the rest of them, no one gets any credit for.
Yeah, so it's funny. Sorry, I'm just trying to move stuff around so that Winter is comfortable, because that's all that matters right now, is that Winter's comfortable.
That's the most important thing.
I have to tell you that this puts everything in perspective. When my daughter was really small, man, you couldn't. She was amazing. Kind of like Winter. She's like, oh, I got to hang out with Dad because he's cool.
And notice she's not crying. How cool is that? How great is my baby? That she can be on the show, just tootling around, having fun, no crying, not being upset. She is such a good baby.
All right, so Dan Bongino didn't want everything to come out, or did he want it to come out? Does he believe it? Does he not believe it? Does he feel like he's been made a fool out of? Yeah, people like Julie Kelly. I'm not a fan of Julie Kelly's, mostly because she can't have an intelligent conversation with anyone without it making it about herself, right? So I'm a little bit, I don't know, torn, I guess is probably a good word for it.
Yeah. And I can tell you right now, there are people who I know that are calling Dan, that are friends with Dan, that have been on shows with and for Dan before. And they're having these conversations with him and they're criticizing him directly. They're saying, hey, this isn't, why are you doing this? We talked about this. We talked about this beforehand. Here was what the plan was. And now it's not happening. So Dan is feeling the pressure, arguably more than Pam is. Pam doesn't have as many friends that want the Epstein list to be released badly. Dan has a lot, because Dan has been a cornerstone of media on the right in this country for a long time. He is well known and he's been well respected by a lot of people who really want to see this released. And so because of that, he's going to feel the pressure, as he should, more than anyone else. And if he gets too close to wanting it to be released, then he will be fired. If he doesn't do what he's told, he will be fired. And that, I think, kind of sucks, because he's going to get the short end of the stick. He's going to look bad. And so will everyone else, because they're doing what they're told. So someone's going to have to be a maverick and say, I don't care what I'm told. I'm going to take this information. It will be released. Oops, it got out there. Oh, is that bad? Whatever. It needs to get out. There are children that need to be saved. Someone step up. I'm calling. You call. Everyone who knows and has the ability. Call. Pressure them. Eventually, we have to get a win here. We have to.
Yeah. Well, Bill O'Reilly and President Trump had a conversation. And he said that he had talked to President Trump man to man about Epstein on St. Patrick's Day. That was a little while ago. Let's go ahead and play it.
The Epstein thing. I think that this is a hoisted on your own petard. I don't think it's a big value situation, because I never believed any of the conspiratorial talk. But the president is not well served by the people around him on this one. I don't think he really cares about Epstein one way or the other, and I don't believe there's anything in the files that kills him. But the people around him botched this, Bill, because they fed all these people this conspiracy fodder about this, and then Bondi 1 minute says it's on her desk, the next minute there's nothing to it. Cash Patel and Bongino, who made such a market in the conspiracy, all of a sudden say it's not true. It's a terrible look for the administration. What's your take?
Well, I think President Trump could correct it anytime he wants to correct it. And that's the question, is I don't know why he doesn't. So all you got to do is say to the Attorney General, you're going to hold a press conference. You're going to tell him generally what we've learned about the Epstein case in a very methodical way. You'll answer some questions. You're not to mention any names, because that could destroy people. I talked to President Trump man to man, eye to eye, on St. Patrick's Day about this and the Kennedy files and the King files. It was all one conversation. And he said, and I agree, there are a lot of names associated with Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct. They maybe had lunch with him or maybe had some correspondence for one thing or another. If that name gets out, those people are destroyed because there's not going to be any context. Media doesn't care about context. So you can't do that. You can't destroy human beings by putting out the files, whatever they may be. But you certainly can have Attorney General Bondi say, this is what we know. And, you know, we're going to protect the innocent. And he's a heinous individual.
Did you notice that he said that it could hurt people if you say names? Isn't that the whole point?
Yeah.
Now, if you go to an island and you do illegal stuff, shouldn't the consequence of that be that you get hurt?
Yeah.
I mean, what? I don't get it. Like, what's the whole? The whole point is you need to release names. We can say whatever we want. We can speculate. I released a full list a few days ago of all the names from the court filing. You can go read through them. Many of them allegedly associated or involved in these activities. There's a lot of names on there, about 200 people. Why can't the government say, okay, here are the people who we've gone through the information. Here are the people who are investigating. We're going to look through the information and we're going to prosecute them at the point when we find wrongdoing. They can do that right now. Why aren't they doing it? And it's very simple. Because if they go down that rabbit hole, there are people who they don't want to get caught. And that's evil.
Look, they've had these Epstein files for years. They've had them for years. There was, just so you know, there was a group of people that gave him unqualified immunity, which means he was not going to be prosecuted for anything that he did. Now, they rearrested him in 2019. But that's when it came out that they had a deal. And that deal basically gave them the ability not to have to answer questions, not to have to be accountable for his behavior. So at some point, we still have to recognize that he is the one that committed the crimes. And what we just heard was them trying to put this on President Trump, and it's his responsibility. He's cleaning up decades of really bad behavior by lots of people. Decades.
You have a professional mic adjuster over there, so
no,
you're in good hands, Joe. You're well taken care of. How many of the files do you think Merrick Garland under the Biden DOJ decided to just delete? Now, we can look at Obama. We can talk about Obama. He's not going to release them. Part of the status quo. I don't know if Obama administration deleted a lot of files. I don't think the Bush administration deleted a lot of files. I don't think that we saw any of the recent administrations, besides possibly Merrick Garland under Joe Biden. I believe he most likely took a lot of that data out of there on purpose. And we now know that he not only had access to it for the whole time, but it was kept a secret from the public. Go ahead and play A3.
You can't destroy human beings by putting out the files, whatever they may be. But you certainly can have Attorney General Bondi say, this is what we know. And, you know, we're going to protect the innocent. And he's a heinous individual. In that press conference, sitting next to Pam Bondi, should be Merrick Garland, the Attorney General and Joe Biden, who had these material for 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Biden had it. Yeah, you don't hear that from the left, do you?
Yeah. Look, I find what he said absurd. And because I have winter on my lap, I won't use any sort of profanities because obviously we don't want those little ears to hear it.
Yeah, just put the hands over the ears and then you're good to go. Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
They say they care about the innocent.
They don't.
They have spent so much time destroying innocent lives and calling everything conspiracy theories and you know, misinformation, disinformation. They have made up so many things about, including myself. I just happened to come across a Daily Beast article. I sent it to you yesterday, where they watch me. Matt, I said this last night. I was like, they're really interested in what I have to say because they're afraid of it.
They are. It's because when you have the resources to make, you know, what happened. See, Winter. Don't worry. I'm not going to say it in front of you. Don't worry. You're good to go. You don't have to hear that. When you have the resources to make, you know, what happened, then they're going to try to attack you and stop you, hurt your relationships, hurt your ability to change things because they want the status quo. The only people who can create an AI company is them. The only people who can create a social media company is them. Who can create a news network is them. Who can create a data analysis company or a data aggregation company is them. No one else can access these levers of power. No one else can have those relationships.
And I'm not
you can't
viable.
do it. You're not allowed to do it.
I'm not a viable person. I really want to do what's right. And for a long time, I figured it out a long time ago that it hardly matters what the truth is. They've proven that. But now Bill O'Reilly wants to tell me that they really care about, protecting innocent lives. Well, then where were they when they were going after my wife and my daughter, my son? Where were they when they were creating all sorts of fake and fraudulent news about me, and then having people like Kyle Clark and others that press that into the media? They don't care about innocent lives.
Not at all.
And if they cared about innocent lives, what about Virginia Guthrie? What about her? Because she killed herself ultimately. And if you go back to 2020, what are you doing? If you go back to 2020, all you have to do is looking at 2020 is the fact that a judge made them destroy all the evidence related to Jeffrey Epstein, because they said that how Virginia Guthrie got access to it. I can't see if everyone's having a good time with me actually holding and going through this. I haven't gone through this since. Mike is probably listening like, hey, I remember that. What are you doing? So as okay, you want to put that down?
She's now and continue throwing it down and
Okay.
making Joe pick it up mode, which
Yes,
that's
no
classic
you're not putting it down there.
baby behavior.
Yeah. But they would have carried about Virginia Guthrie, but they don't.
Not at all.
They don't care about her.
And Joe, and also in that same interview, Bill noted on how they were supposed to release the files. They almost did. There was multiple points when it was supposed to come out and they didn't. And then asks, why is everyone scared of them? Which is a fair question. Bill himself was fired from Fox News, if you'll remember, because of allegations against him of misconduct. That's what happened. And he disproved them. We now know all of the allegations against Bill are in fact false. But he was also getting too close to the truth on this. He didn't toe the line, just like Tucker Carlson. That's why Tucker Carlson and him are both out. If you're too smart for Fox News, you get fired. If you don't comply enough with the status quo, you get fired. Yeah. That's how it works. And she's now comfortable. She was warming up a little bit. She's now comfortable and ready to steal the show. Yeah, it's show steal time.
Okay, so getting past that, let's play A4.
The Attorney General and Joe Biden, who had these material for 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Biden had it. Yeah, you don't hear that from the left, do you?
I thought we just played that.
No, listen, what you do here, which I agree with.
Yeah, so we have a lot of Bill O'Reilly clips today because he was going viral. So we put a lot of those in there today. But at the end of the day, Bill's right. Everyone else is wrong. Tucker is partially right. I gave her the loudest toy ever. If you wanna hand that back to me.
There we go. Take that back.
Like the loudest possible toy. I knew that was gonna happen. I was just optimistic maybe the microphone would somehow be able to not pick it up, but
they can pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do A5, if you would, please.
Plain sight. Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
They were afraid of Epstein. They were afraid of him. It's still on. Okay. They were afraid of him. So why were they afraid of Epstein? You know that here's what we know. Let's put the pieces together because Grok's not going to give it to you. I promise you, nobody in the administration is going to give it to you, and it's not President Trump's responsibility. He's a commander in chief. So today, before I got here, I had to go meet with a few partners related to a company, and one of the partners let me know that he had been having conversations with another person, and I was like, okay, well that doesn't check at all. Well, tell me more about this. Now, I'm the CEO of the company, And I knew nothing about these conversations. And as soon as I found out today, I was like, great. I looked over and I said, make sure that I have a meeting with that person next week. So as the CEO, as the commander in chief, President Trump can only handle, just imagine having foreign policy, domestic policy, you have state rights, you have federal rights, you have all sorts of special interest groups, you have AIPAC that you have to deal with, which is like the largest terrorist organization in the country. You have Anti-Defamation League and other organizations that are trying to get a audience with President Trump from an adverse position. So he has to manage all, and then look at the people on the inside of his organization that have their own interests at heart, that are smiling and nodding at him. So he has to read a room of 50 to 75 to 100 people. And at any one time, he is like Julius Caesar, and there are a ton of Brutuses around across from him. And now he has to manage personalities like Kash Patel, who, if you ask Kash, he's the most important guy in the room. Just ask him, right? His little Kash sign, and he's, that little midget. So you have him, and then you have Dan Bongino. By the way, I've never liked Kash. I've never liked him. There are people in this movement in Con Inc. that I have never liked. Why? Because they're self-serving little pricks. That's why. And if you literally put them in a room and ask them to run their mouth in front of you, they wouldn't. Like, no holds bar, go over here. Hey, I heard you had something to say about Joe. And I walked in the room and like, hey, what's up? They wouldn't have the guts to say it. They would basically run out the other side wetting their pants. Those are the type of people we have in Con Inc. Those are the type of weakless, feckless people that President Trump has to contend with inside of his organization. So it's unfair. It's an unfair assessment to say that President Trump is responsible for their behavior, because frankly, he can't be responsible for their behavior. He's a commander-in-chief. They're in a position. He has to wait until that ugly thing pops up. Then he's got to make a decision on, are you competent? Why did you do it? When did you do it? Okay, get rid of that person. I fired 4 people in the last week and a half. 2 people that I haven't probably in the organization had a talk with in 7 to 8 months. But I went to inspect what I expect. In that environment, I asked them to do something, and one of them argued with me. And I looked at one of the people in the company. It's in management. And I said, I want him going by next week. Find me someone else. And you would say, Joe, that sounds harsh. And I would tell you, that's how you run an organization with over 200 people. Imagine running an organization with well over 30 million people that are employed by the federal government, and well over, I'd say, 40,000 people that are directly respondent to what the president has to say. I don't think people understand that. And that's why what Dan Bongino and what Kash Patel and what Pam Bondi have done is so despicable, because it actually is showing its head. It's showing itself to be exactly what we think it is. And that is these people are either incompetent, can't get it done, have people below them that they haven't actually rooted out. And so, but they make excuses for their bad behavior, which means they're incompetent anyway because they can't take responsibility for their own failures. So deathly afraid that Dan Bongino might end up on the front magazine of the New York Times being an incompetent buffoon whose only job that he actually excelled at was being a Secret Service agent. And maybe he excelled at that, but he had a failed Senate race, right? He ran for Senate or the House? He ran for Senate, right?
Yeah, he ran for Senate.
So, I mean, and this is the harshness that I'm getting to right now. I mean, you could be super competent and you could be promoted to a point of your own incompetence, right? So it happens in government all the time. But when you're in the seat that he's in, you should never make the excuses and you should never compromise. At least people like Christopher Wray and others, they were smart enough to keep their mouth shut. Well, unfortunately, these guys aren't. They want to grandstand and they want to look like they're Kardashian / Trump Jr., and that's not their identity. So I don't think based on anything Bill O'Reilly said, it's true. There's an Epstein problem, and the Epstein problem is that everyone still wants to be popular, and what's right is rarely popular. What's popular is rarely right, and you might have some innocent people in there that get hurt, that have to explain themselves. Make them explain themselves. Make them explain themselves. I hired a guy that worked for me who was an absolute piece of trash. It took me figuring out he was a piece of trash to fire him. That happened. And it was a reflection of my hiring him that led me down a path where I was like, I will never do that again. These types of people, I will never have tolerance for any of these types of people. Period. I mean, if you're a sex offender, you can't get an audience with me. You couldn't sit in the same room with me. The second that I find out you're a sex offender, whether it's a child or it's an adult, you can go get fucked.
I don't know if that's the right.
Oh,
the right.
sorry.
Yeah, maybe they don't do that actually.
Yeah.
do something else
But
with your time.
you'll never see, Matt, I'm out. And you're like, oh, but there were some special circumstances. No. I think you should build on a colony of a bunch of you that just go hang out with each other. Right? No, you're out. You're off the island.
Now, I was actually making a joke. You're right. We probably shouldn't say that in front of Winter, but I was making a joke about you were saying a sex offender to go get effed. I was like, all right, you may have a better, you may have some.
Go
better
get
things to do with
castrated.
your time.
Go get castrated.
But I want to ask you this. Here's a controversial question for you, Joe.
Yeah.
Are you in support of slavery or are you racist? Which one of those two?
Are those my two options?
Those are your only two options, actually.
She hit her head on the knob. Am I in support of slavery or am I a racist?
Yes. And you have no other options. Those are your only two.
I'm trying to find, so there's no correlation or causation between either one of those things. They don't correlate.
So the reason why I'm asking you this is because there was just an illegal immigrant child that was caught being forced to work as a slave laborer on a pot farm. And we have a clip of that. So why don't we go ahead and play B1?
Oh, wow. All right.
Who was killed that day, still looking for answers. But we begin with Matt Finn. He's live with more on the growing violence against ICE. Matt, good evening.
Trace, good evening. Two federal sources tell Fox tonight that hundreds of people have been taken into custody during an hours-long immigration sweep at two farming locations in Carpinteria and Camarillo, California. Tear gas and smoke bombs were launched into the crowds of protesters clashing with immigration agents. Some people were transported to the hospital. Others were taken into custody for interfering with federal officers. Protesters could be seen throwing rocks at this black SUV. And tonight, sources tell Fox the feds are investigating the possibility of an active shooter at the scene. Investigators searched for shell casings and are using facial recognition to identify the suspect. This all started much earlier in the day. Federal sources tell Fox they had a criminal warrant to get onto the properties based on evidence illegal aliens were being harbored there. The properties are believed to be tied to a company called Glass House Brands, which has a state license to grow marijuana. And in San Francisco earlier this week, a group of protesters were seen in an intense clash with immigration agents outside of a courthouse. It was reportedly over a specific migrant. Video shows mass protesters scuffling with ICE agents who use batons. Some can be heard screaming, "Get away from my gun." No reports of injuries from this heated interaction, Trace.
Matt Finn live for us here. Matt, thank you. Let's bring in PragerU, political commentator and former Venezuelan political refugee.
Of course, PragerU. Let's bring in PragerU.
Every time, yep.
Let's bring in Mossad. Let's bring in the issue that I have with all this is that it's kabuki theater. 100% of it's kabuki. What I just said about President Trump is probably one of the most profound things that anyone that understands business should own. And when you're running the company, you're the commander in chief, you're the CEO of an entire country. What you just heard was the fact that all those people, by the way, a vast majority of the people that were on the ground right there, they're all illegals.
Yep.
So they didn't get arrested. They were there to take out certain people inside the farm. And how the left reported it is that they're taking farm workers. No, they're not. They're taking marijuana drug mules and people that work for a drug farm away, many of which are criminals. And let me just tell you what happens in these drug farms that you just saw. It's legal in California. So they grow plants, right? They grow plants. So you get a drug enforcement person that comes in through the state because the state basically oversees, because federally it's still illegal. It's still illegal to grow marijuana, do marijuana, have marijuana store on a federal basis. It is illegal. You can still be charged. The people on the state level can still be taken into federal custody and still charged. True story. Can happen. Okay? But the state has regulatory people that at the state level in California, Matt, these people go in and they do inspections to make sure that every one of the plants that you have is registered, and that as you do cuttings and things like that, you have to keep those cuttings. And there's an entire process by which they manage it because it's revenue. So the state of California takes a piece, federal government takes a piece, and it's based on the total amount of your revenue, right? You don't get any deductions. So as a normal company, you'd have expenses against it. In this case, you have to pay taxes on the full amount. So you have $1 million, You got to pay $500,000 in taxes, and then the other $500,000, you got to manage your business, still make a profit. Period. Well, what happens in these places is that these illegals, these cartel gang members, work inside the farm, and they buy off the California drug enforcement people that come into those organizations. They just buy them off. And so you have a large majority, or a large amount, not a large majority, that would be wrong, the large amount of these drugs that are sold on the street illegally or in the black market so that they can make more profit. So that becomes 100% profit. Nobody gets to touch it. Here's $1,000 to the drug enforcement guy. And then you got a bunch of illegals and you got a bunch of cartel members that work inside that environment. That's the reality of it in almost every state. It's in Colorado, it's in California, it's in Washington, it's in Oregon, it's in Maine, it's on East Coast, West Coast. Anywhere where marijuana is legal, there is a large presence of illegal activity happening in those environments.
And kids getting caught up in it as well, which a kid should not be anywhere near a pot farm, any kind of drug affiliation at all. Take a look at this. Here's B2 showing children running from the tear gas. Why are they there? Why are there kids there? Until they're illegal immigrants, why are they there?
Do not panic, do not run! Do not run! Stay calm! They took your mom?
Wow, what an awful thing. So you're saying you really, really, really don't want to go live in a place with a bunch of Hispanic people? That's you're that opposed to why do you hate? Why are these illegal immigrants so racist against Hispanic people? Why are they so opposed to being deported back?
I'm gonna give you a question.
Yeah.
And this is a question. By the way, everyone's going to say, Joe, you've gone through this question before, and I have. This question has come up before. You have two choices. Only two choices. You're going to get so angry at the choice. Make sure that camera is on Matt. Okay?
I'm going to have my baby answer it for me.
No. Cover her ears.
Cover her ears. Okay, I'm covering her ears.
You have two choices. You can allow someone to rape your daughter every day for the rest of her life.
Okay, whoa.
Hold on.
You can't say that while she's here.
Yeah, hold on. Somebody said this to me and it hit me really hard.
No, that's I'm not. No, I'm not.
Hold on, Matt.
No, I'm gonna stop you right there.
Matt,
no.
Hold on.
You can't say that
because you're angry.
I'm angry at you for saying that. You can't say that.
No, hold on. I want to tell you why. No, listen to me, Matt. Listen to me.
You can't. My daughter's right here. You can't ask me that question while she's right here. That's seriously not cool.
No, I'm asking you the question for a reason, and I'm asking you because she's here. You asked me a question of whether or not I wanted to be racist or I wanted slavery.
Yeah, but that's right? You can't say that. Hold on. I mean, I don't want her to hear that.
It's never going to happen because guess what?
Okay.
That person would be dead long before they even got there. The anger that you have in your face right now, you get two choices. These are only two choices. And this is why, by the way, illegal immigration is really terrible for our country. It's like jelly beans. And this is why I fight. You want to know why I fight so much? I fight for this. And I'm already, my kids are already grown. But yours aren't. So that was your first choice. Second is it can only happen once, but you have to let it happen. Which one do you choose?
Okay, why are you talking about that?
Because it's
that's not, you can't ask that question. That's not okay. You can't ask that question.
But that's the option. Listen, that's she doesn't understand anything that we're talking about.
That's seriously the dumbest. Like of all that, you could have asked any question. Why would you ask that?
I asked that question because when I sat down with a friend of mine, when he asked me, when we were on this show before, 10 million illegals, and they said, Joe, you want to get rid of all illegals? And I said, I don't think you can do it. And he says, okay, let me just walk through this question for you. And I asked a friend of mine on this show about a year ago, that same question. Matt, how angry are you?
Pretty angry, but I'm more so mad at you for asking me.
Don't be mad at me. You can't be mad at me for asking you a question like this because there's a reason why I'm asking you. We're not allowed to ask questions. We're not allowed to talk about things. Let's just look at the third option. What is the third option they don't give us? Matt, what's the third option they don't give us?
I don't know. I'm just gonna take
Matt, sit down. Matt. There's a third option, and he doesn't want to have the conversation about the third option. You want to know why you don't want to have the conversation about the third option? And I've had to have this conversation with my own daughter. It's because the third option is that I don't accept either one of those options. Matt's mad that I asked a question, a pretty harsh question. And these are the reasons why we can't have these conversations and why everyone gets super emotional. It's not just this question. Just the thought of that ever happening. And he's got 2 little girls. Who wants to think of that? Who wants to go through that thought process? Nobody. But here's the reality. We're only given 2 choices. As Americans, we're given 2 choices. You have to let your heart bleed and give and give and give to other people while you watch your own families and own communities suffer and burn. Or you're a racist. You're a fascist. You're a horrible human being. You have to be willing to sacrifice yourself for somebody else. Or you're out. We have a stacked deck against us. I just asked Matt a question. It's probably one of the harshest questions someone's ever asked me. And I reacted much the same way. But I also walked the process and said, okay, those are the 2 options. I reject those 2 options. I reject them. We can't have hard conversations. And this conversation I had with Matt was proof we can't have that. And the reality of it is that every day I get to have those same questions. I get to have those same conversations. Every day. And for the first, 12 months of 2020 and 2021, I would have the same thing said to me. Only the difference is that it wasn't a choice that they gave me. They've just told me what they would do to my family. You'd get the death threats, and I'm coming after your wife, I'm coming after your children. And I had to take it. And when I didn't take it, I got canceled from social media. You have 2 options. You're not going to like either one of the options. Which one do you choose? You have to choose one. The bad part about what Matt is going through right now, while he's not here, is that I hope he learns something from it. But more importantly, the emotion you go through when you think about something that somebody does to you. And I'm supposed to care about someone else more than I care about my own family. I'm supposed to give up to other people in my environment more than I'm willing to give to the people that are closer to me. And when I don't do that, you call me selfish. But an illegal comes in and you want to play Russian roulette with the people in our community. You want me to feel bad for it? You want me to give them $7,000 a month? You want me to give them free education? You want me to give them opportunity that you won't give to my brothers and sisters in the inner city? You want to tell me that we're going to let, it just happened, the two illegals that came and broke into my gun store and range, stole 8 guns. Joe, to be honest with you, they're going to spend 5 days in jail. They're going to get out, and that's it. But it had to be a white person. It had to have been Tina Peters, who stood up for election integrity and did everything she was supposed to do in order to protect the interests of the people in her community. Now we're going to send her to jail for 9.5 years. One, little punks want to put 8 guns on the street that kill people, kill my fellow Americans. And on the other, you got Tina Peters serving 9.5 years in jail. And you got Pam Bondi and all these other people doing what? Sitting around playing grab ass. It's a hard way to go. And what just happened just now, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I'd ever. I'm going to take a commercial break. When I come back, I'm going to get more into this. We'll be right back.
My first time here shooting at the shooting range.
How's it going? It's also my first time, and I'm really excited.
It's also my first time here, first time shooting a gun.
My day off of work, and they were like, hey, want to shoot some guns? That was awesome. The revolver is crazy. I will definitely come again.
Yeah, it was awesome. Really cool experience.
100% bringing my friends here another time.
I like to come shoot because I get to spend time with my family. Same for me. I love spending time with my family. It's something to do.
It's a lot of fun shooting.
When I first moved back into town, the first place I came was DCF Guns, and I signed up for a membership right away.
I got into shooting because of self-defense. I would encourage all women to be ready and to feel comfortable handling a handgun.
This was my first time ever shooting at DCF West. It felt amazing. I shot an AR-15 and it was amazing. It was powerful and I loved it.
I'm here today as a part of a group of women that support one another in continuing to practice and refine our knowledge.
Not only self-protection of ourselves, but protection of our loved ones as well.
I have fun and I get to meet with other ladies.
You should always be prepared to defend yourself.
And I love coming to DCF Guns West to shoot. I come with my family. It's a nice, clean, friendly range. Here I feel safe. I feel like the people to my left and my right are also really cognizant of their range etiquette. That's why I come to DCF Guns West.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
Stop resisting! If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. You know, the feeling that Matt felt that and Allie's just said something in the comments that I think is important. And so I'm going to repeat this. Joe has seen more life, and with all the ugliness, it's real and deserves some thought. Allie has 6 kids. Sorry if I can say that. If I can't, you can tell me to shut up, which is fine. I am their uncle. I will be there when they need me. I will be there when they get married. I will be there if they were to call me and tell me to bring a shovel. And the relationship that I have with their family is forged in fire. It means it doesn't go away. And I've posed this question before. And I remember the answers from many of you. That's not a fair question. I think that's my point. It's not a fair question. If I'm being real, I don't really. I've hated the last 5 years. Hated. See, at least before, when I was doing good in places where I sat on boards and did things, it wasn't difficult. I mean, the difficulties were that I had to see other people have difficulties, but I could just step in and just create a solution and get it done. Somebody broke into Village Exchange Center, stole a bunch of food. I would put security on it. I made sure that they had proper stuff there, put in security doors, did all this stuff to help them, and I paid for it. And you had other problems where they're like, hey, we need a training program to teach single moms how to be baristas. I was like, I can do that. I don't know how to do barista, but I like coffee. I'll help fund that. Or a kid that lived in a education desert. And meaning there's no school within like 2 mile radius. And, the dropout rate in that area is like 90%. And so I was like, okay, well, let's send that kid to a private school. And they're like, I'm like, how much is it going to cost? And they're like, well, it's $15,000 a year. And I was like, I'll pay for that. It was a circumstance that I had to handle somebody else's problem, but it was hands off almost. It didn't affect my life so much. I could mentor someone and it made me feel good. And I felt like I was giving back, but it didn't really it really didn't do anything for me. It didn't, or anything to me, excuse me. And then 2020 came along. And, if I'm being honest, I listened to Dan Bongino at the time. And listened to all these people. And didn't really want to get involved. In February, I went to Europe. I went to go watch a football match over in the UK. We heard about this virus, but I didn't watch much of the news, so I wasn't that much into it. I just knew that this was the year that I wanted to accelerate my business and that I felt like I had arrived. It's all done. Down, uphill from here. And March came along. They shut down everything. 2 weeks to slow the spread. I didn't even think about illegals. Like, I didn't think about transgender people. Like, it didn't even cross my mind. I didn't wake up one day and we didn't have conversations about any of that stuff. It wasn't a thing. Like, there was no concentration on any of this radical, demonic BS. Didn't exist. I didn't even see much of it online. I had never been canceled on Facebook up to that point. My extent of talking about things in politics was you can't hate on Muslims, right? So I had been learning Arabic and talking about my journey with interfaith. And then 2020 taught me a lot of things about how to hate people. Because boy, did I hate people. And 2021 taught me a little bit more. 2022 taught me a little bit more. And then everything was a nail and I was a hammer. They went after my family and that was just it. And then I found myself slowly getting involved in something I didn't want to get involved in. Like, I don't give a shit about Eric Comer. I don't even care about Dominion. All I care about is the fact that we vote in elections and whatever the people say goes. And that's not even true. The voice there is not even there. And you listen to the media and one side or the other, but most people in 2020 at least had common sense. You could tell the wheat from the chaff. You could tell really quickly that people were either trash and stupid because they wore masks. And then June 2020, you saw that right up in front and personal. Everyone's a racist. The white guilt and the idea that white people are bad and we got to somehow like take a knee. Man, they can piss on themselves. I'm not taking a knee for anybody. I'll kneel before God. He's the only one that I will kneel before. And then everything started to come into focus. You start hearing the elected leaders and you start hearing President Trump talk about the fact that it's a pandemic and he's talking about things and I research it and then we see what's happening and going into to July and our kids are being groomed and now we're all figuring it out. We like woke up out of this ether and we're like, holy crap. How is it that we have 25,000 trees on our property and weeds everywhere and we cannot see anything? And now we didn't tend to our land. So what we have is a bunch of derelicts, a bunch of drug-induced like zombies walking around the street. Homelessness is at an all-time high. And places that used to be great like Portland, man, those places are a toilet. And we haven't even started talking about what they did with Chaz, where they came in and did the Occupy, whatever you want to call that weirdness. And then the murdering and burning people at the stake and up in Minnesota and the fact that they burned entire buildings with people in them. And when they found the bodies, it was like no big deal. But let's make a statue of this piece of shit that got arrested for putting money out there that was counterfeit money. And he's 4 times the legal limit of fentanyl. And we're having a conversation on whether or not that's even real. Like, how in the world did somebody go to jail for a guy that had 4 times the lethal limit of fentanyl in his system? You're like, Joe, what does that have to do with what you're doing with Epstein? Well, by this time, they already had Epstein on the deal. They already knew about him. And everybody thought it was ridiculous. And Facebook fact checkers and everyone said, you can't talk about the bat farms and Wuhan virus. You can't talk about any of that. Then it turns out it's true. But not before the New York Times and everyone else made a mockery of the intel that was coming out. And we fast forward to where we are today, the same con Inc. exists. The same ones. You still got the Ben Shapiro, the little midget that runs around telling everybody what the reality of it is. You still have a large conglomerate of Jewish people that run around. You got PragerU that's run by Mossad. You got all this stuff that's happening. And we can't even take care of a guy named Jeffrey Epstein. We can't even find a way to right that wrong. We got to wait till Virginia Giuffre kills herself. And you know who became important in all this? This is the worst part about all of it. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel, and Pam Bondi. It's all about them. Not the 300 plus victims. You got to have Bill O'Reilly go out there and grease the skids with Julie Kelly and everyone else and say nobody cares about Epstein. It's not the Epstein that we care about. It's the fact that you gave us two choices and both of them are total shit. The first choice is move on. Well, I don't want to move on for the fact that I got my life raped from me. I don't want to move on. I talk about it on the show all the time. I got to sit up here and talk about stuff related to machines are bad. Well, I get ridiculed online for saying it by a bunch of bot accounts. And then you get the guys that call you a pussy, right? And I'm thinking to myself, man, you are lucky you're not in front of me because I would beat the brakes off you. But I can't be honest about that either. And you got guys that can go into court and say, oh, Joe's, that guy, he's bad. Like Alex Halderman doesn't even know what system architecture is inside the Mike Lindell case. And I'm the crazy one. I'm the guy that is lying when all I did was tell the truth. And so the truth becomes something that doesn't even fucking matter. And then I give up 5 years for that. And I do this podcast for 5 years more. With two choices. Who do I pick? Do you pick Dan Bongino? Or do you, and which comes, by the way, in a package that says, I got to pick Dan Bongino because Trump picked him. And I'm like, bullshit. First choice is you're anti-Trump. Second choice is that you accept Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and Julie Kelly and Steve Bannon and all these other people. I got to accept all of them. The same people that run around with the Mean Girls crew and telling people, don't talk about this. Don't talk to Joe. Oh my gosh, he's lethal. Did you hear about this? Hey, get somebody on him. We need to make sure that with the Antifa call, let's go ahead and just ridicule Joe on that stuff. And yet I had to stay consistent for 5 years, wanting to beat the brakes out of nearly every one of them. Talentless shitsters that literally, if you weren't on a microphone, they couldn't build anything. You hand them a couple boards and a couple nails, and they would literally look at it as if you were asking them to build a salad. And so I don't even know how we got onto this. The DOJ failing the United States. That's what today's show's about. Well, the DOJ didn't fail the United States. The United States failed the United States. The DOJ is a byproduct of the people that I put up on my page before. And I was like, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You want to know why they're going to suppress this deal and it'll be 210 or 220 people on Rumble. And you got some piece of shit at Rumble that literally goes to Matt and says, hey, do me a favor, go over here and put up your shorts. Put up your shorts. I'll make sure you make 5 figures putting up 1 to 2 minute videos about something. And we'll make sure you make good money. And tries to convince him, hey, don't, but over here, we just can't help you. We can't help you with the show. We're going to suppress it because Joe's on that show. That actually happened. That's a real conversation. I got the receipts for it. And it's not because what I said is not true. Oh, but they'll tell you that. Oh, yeah, Joe likes to talk. I keep being right, but, we'll just let it go at that. For 5 years, I give up on my life, so these little pieces of shit can run around because they were given talking points. Never any of them have any single thought in their beanie little heads that is their own. No, it's just this little Mean Girls Club, and let me stay a part of it, and oh yeah, maybe it'll get me somewhere. 2 choices. The same 2 choices I just gave Matt, same 2 choices Matt personally he's furious. And he's mad at me for asking the question. Okay. It's actually not the question. It's the outcome. It's the thought that could ever even be an outcome. It's the thought that could ever even be a question, that could be a choice. It's not a choice. A choice in depravity is not a choice at all. And I got to choose Dan Bongino, or I got to choose to say that I'm anti-Trump, or you have to abandon MAGA. And people do this. Fair weather fans. I don't. Loyalty is loyalty. And the only thing that changes loyalty is betrayal, period. Because betrayal proves to me that there is no loyalty. And it's not a one-way street. There's bilateral reciprocation that's happening at all times. I support President Trump because he has courage. He doesn't always speak articulately. He doesn't always say it the way I would say it. Matter of fact, sometimes he says it the way I would say it, and that's a contradiction to what I think how he should say it. And it's all about the spin. It's all about the ridiculous. We gotta cater to the ridiculous. I won't cater to the ridiculous. And the next few things we're going to talk about, by the way, are directly related to that. You want kids to cut off their penises. Well, Joe, nobody really does that. First, you dismiss it while it all happens underneath the thing. They dismissed Weinstein, too. They dismissed COVID. They dismissed vaccine injuries. They dismissed the fact that respirators would actually cause massive internal damage and kill people. But they did that to millions of people as well. They keep dismissing everything that we bring up and then put bot accounts on it, which, by the way, should not be allowed. There should be no bot accounts on social media, period. Should be none. Zero. How is it that people are allowed to create false identities? And then you want to tell me my elections are free and fair? How are you gonna whitewash all of the evidence of the election fraud in like 38 states, 40 states, and tell me there's nothing to see here when there's no transparency to it? How are you going to tell me that everything's safe and that, we're doing our part when you still lost track of over 300,000 children that came up from South and Central America? I mean, the math doesn't add up. We call LLMs, which are large language models, which is machine learning, we now call that AI. And then we tell everyone how dangerous it is. And I'm thinking to myself, you've got to be kidding me. People have no idea. We just changed the vernacular and it's okay. We put up pride flags, take down the American flag. We do so much crazy stuff under the color of what exactly? And I don't even know why I'm going on about this on the podcast. We are going to run from problem to problem to problem to problem to problem as people. We're going to continue to do it. It's going to be a squirrel moment. Next thing you know, Yee's going to come out and come up with some other weird deal, and we're going to run towards him. And then the Kardashians are going to talk about Bruce Jenner actually becoming Bruce Jenner again, and then we'll run towards that. And then we'll talk about the fact that, I don't even know, make it up. Dan Bongino quits, goes back to being a podcaster. Run back towards that. And then that'll create its own little scandal. And then Dan Bongino and Kash Patel will go at each other's throats. And then we'll run towards that. And then Pam Bondi will finally arrest someone. Only the statute of limitations will run out, and we'll run towards that. And then they'll talk about the fact that, oh my gosh, we found one person that got prosecuted by Epstein. And the counter that Elon Musk puts up will go from 000 to 00 ding 1. and everyone's thirst will be satisfied. And then we'll talk about what's happening in Ukraine, and they'll get weapons, and then we'll say that Russia bad again, and then the people that say, hey, I don't want to give money into Ukraine anymore will be like, shut up, sit down. President Trump's the one that approved it, so you have to be okay with it. You're being disloyal. And I'm thinking to myself that that's not disloyalty. Disloyalty is the chaos that is created around President Trump, not the decisions he makes with the information that he has given. And then we'll forget all about Tina Peters because she's already still in jail. So why take care of Tina Peters? Just let her rot in jail. Let's let that happen. You get two choices. And then we'll talk about vaccines, and Bobby Kennedy will come out and say, we caught them. They covered up these things for the vaccine injuries, these studies. We got them. Oh, yeah, that was last week. That's already disappeared. Nobody's talking about Samantha Power anymore. Nobody's talking about what happened in Guatemala with Save the Children. Nobody's talking about, you just think about how many things. Nobody's talking about down in Georgia that they had a truck full of ballots back in 2020, that shredder truck. It was, the FBI had their hands on. They could have literally gone through each one of those ballots. They could have put this to rest. They could have said, yeah, the 2020 election was stolen. Let's get rid of the machines. Let's go through everything. We could have had them in the defamation lawsuit for Fox. And somebody came in and said, hey, we're gonna make sure we take care of you, and we're just sending from one pocket to the next. So write them a check for $787 million. And then that's the media propaganda that's going to be used to try and convince people that there's nothing to see here. And then we're going to walk back what happened in New Hampshire, what happened in Virginia, what happened in Maryland, what happened in Michigan, what happened in Minnesota, what happened in Nevada, what happened in Texas and Arizona and Colorado, and all the election fraud that happened across ES&S and Smartmatic and Dominion. And then we're going to arrest a couple people that worked for Smartmatic, that used to work for Dominion. One of them went to back work for Dominion. So we're going to take all that information, and we're literally going to say that, yeah, I know that they were bribing people down in another country, but it's really a good company. The ethos is good. They didn't do it here. And then the whistleblowers that came forward that said over and over and over again, yeah, we have a massive problem. We have a massive problem. What'd I tell you? You could share it. It'll stay at 205, 210 on Rumble. They will do everything they can to screw it all up. Let's get to Tom Homan talking about foreign child labor. So we really don't care about people in this country. In the last 5 years have been total dog shit. And I wish, frankly, that I could just hit Control Alt Delete. Why? Because I have some great relationships, but it wasn't worth it. I gave up 5 years of my life for people who would literally step over my body tomorrow. That's what I did. And I got things taken from me that weren't theirs to take. And all I have to show for it is that now Eric Coomer follows me on X. And I'm angry about it. Because that guy, along with a lot of other people, got away with some massive crimes against the American people. And then they ridiculed us for standing up and saying what was right. Let's play this. This is Tom Homan talking about foreign child labor.
But Tom, it strikes me unbelievable that the Democrats are not on board. When you look at this raid, there were 10 juveniles that were illegally brought across the border. You and I covered this under the Biden administration. I was down in Texas. We encountered a 8-10 10-year-old, 12-year-olds coming across with just a name and an address and a phone number on their necks, the cartel ruthlessly sending them across. And yet now we know that 10 of them, 8 of which were unaccompanied minors working illegally in a marijuana farm, and your agents go in and rescue them essentially, and yet there is violent resistance to that. Does that upset you?
It certainly upsets me, and like I said, you know, the work men and women of ICE are doing is incredible. Look, we're looking for over 300,000 missing children. We've already found 10,000. Have you heard that anywhere? No, the media is simply not covering it. And look, this should be a nonpartisan issue. Arresting public safety threats and national security threats, everybody be all on the same page on that. Rescuing children, I mean, it should be a nonpartisan issue. Everybody should be in lockstep on that, but they're not. The media is lying. The Democrats they don't want President Trump to be successful. I got news for them. We are being successful. Every illegal alien public safety threat we arrest makes this country safer. Every national security threat we take off the street and deport makes us safer. And we're rescuing thousands of children. The lives saved every day by ICE, the lives saved every day by Border Patrol, are in the hundreds. So the only thing I can think of, Griff, if they hate President Trump more than they love their community, they hate President Trump more than they want, safe communities. And there's just no other excuse why this is not, why this has become a partisan issue to take public safety threats off the street.
And
Salud Kabajal wants to protect child labor. He tried to enter the marijuana field in California after immigration officers conducted a raid on the grow site, and Carbajal was born in Mexico. So I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud. We should not have these foreigners in our Congress. Nope. And you'd say, Joe, yes, that's racist. What's racist about it? You expect that I'm going to allow you to stand up and degrade our country down to nothing, and I'm just going to sit back and watch it and say, okay, just because you did it to your country. If the United States was Mexico today, this place would be a toilet, with the exception of a couple areas along the shores that tourists could come on what is called the Yellow Brick Road and get a little bit of peace with slave labor getting paid a couple, $4 or $5, $10 a day to do the work. But here's, let's go ahead and put up B4.
This here is new video from Carpinteria, where another federal law enforcement operation was taking place at a glass house farm location. Congressman Salud Carbajal was denied entry when he tried to get past federal agents into the farm. In a statement, Carbajal called this completely unacceptable and said that he would be demanding answers from Homeland Security. A large crowd gathered at Foothill and Casitas Pass Road for about 2 hours. 10 people were reportedly
And then he went and put out a statement. Like I said, it's kabuki theater. With social media, anyone can just say whatever they want. Let's go ahead and play it.
I'm here at a nursery in Carpinteria where ICE just finished an ICE raid operation. I got here, I got many calls from constituents, from social media. We saw what was happening, and I came here to do my congressional oversight responsibilities. When I got here, there was obviously a crowd of protest, and it was overkill. Over 50 ICE agents that were here, and they were conducting this operation. They were creating fear, anxiety, and intimidation. They were dressed in military garb, clothing, military-grade weapons. They were just creating an untenable, incendiary circumstance where they could have got members of the public and themselves hurt. They were pouring gasoline on the flames of this situation. This is ridiculous. There was a child that was hurt. They deployed in various flash devices and smoke devices. Here's part of the shrapnel that came from one of those devices, and it actually hurt a young child that was in the crowd. This is deplorable. This should not be happening on our soil. Individuals dressed like military personnel on our soil. We don't do that in America. This is overkill. This was ridiculous. This was a bunch of crap. And I'm here to do our oversight. They didn't let me through. I saw other members of the public ride through here on bicycles, and certainly they did not let me go through the line, the perimeter line that they created. Eventually they dispersed, and that's why I'm here right now. And it's my understanding they apprehended 10 out of the 12 individuals that were here. I got that from the owner of this nursery, not from the ICE agents. Nobody would speak to me. I only got a card from the government relations person and asked me to, if I wanted information, to call Los Angeles. This is unacceptable. If I'm here as a member of Congress doing my oversight responsibility, I should be given the information and the contact information that I need. And that was not the case today. This is deplorable.
I mean, do I even have to answer that? He says, I'm standing in front of a nursery. No, you're standing in front of a drug farm. Let's call it what it is. It's a drug farm. And you can smoke marijuana, you can do whatever you want with it. But when you say a nursery, it makes you believe something that it's not. This is controlling language. The reality of it is that you were in front of a drug farm. And you had people that were apprehended because they were criminals. And they went to where they were, and they had them arrested, and then they deport them. And all of these people are basically standing up for these criminals. And are good ones going to get out, pushed out through it? Yes, they are. Good people are going to be rounded up in the middle of it. They're going to be a consequence of the environment by which they're in. Sorry. You know, kind of like a kid being shot in the street by someone that's illegal, or let's just go this way, having to make the brutal choices that we're forced to make every day. You can't have guns, can't protect your family. You have two choices, one of which is we can take away your guns, or two of which is we can build an entire environment where you literally are going to have to shoot your way out of every situation because the cops are going to be there to help you. Who would have thought that a half brain dead, mentally handicapped or physically handicapped individual would be the one on the left? Sorry, Fetterman, if I said that in the wrong way. He had a stroke. So he made more sense than every other single person in his party. Let's go ahead and hear it. Let's play it.
Absolutely unacceptable, terrible, awful. ICE agents are just doing their job, and I fully support that. And for me, and people in my party might want to abolish it or treat them as criminals or anything. That's inappropriate and outrageous. ICE performs an important job for our nation.
He is getting better, so hats off to you, Fetterman, for getting better. I have a friend, his name's Ike. He ran for Congress a couple times. I believe he was in the House before. Ike McCorkle, and he's on the left. He puts up some nonsense sometimes. Sorry, I got to call you out a little bit. But he's a good dude, super good dude. And we have conversations like herd immunity. If people don't get vaccines, it kills herd immunity. Herd immunity is the idea that it spreads through the community, and vaccines don't help herd immunity. They often hinder it. But we have conversations about this all the time, respectfully, online. And, it's a great conversation. It's a good start for people. So, but Fetterman, that doesn't remind me of Ike. Sorry, Ike, other than the fact that he doesn't have hair and you don't have hair. Fetterman also believes in the Second Amendment. So there are people that are Democrats that believe in certain rights that we have, which is why we spend so much time pushing to dynamics to both sides. And I find it dangerous. Remember what I said? We're going to run from one to the other and that we have a thirst for justice. I actually believe that people do have a thirst for justice. And at a very young age, I think children have a thirst for justice. And I don't remember where I watched it or something, but somebody said that their child would ask, it was on the Bible app this morning. I was going through the Bible app and the pastor on it was talking today about fairness. And I get a little bit, when somebody starts talking about what's fair and not fair and justice, and it encompasses religion, I was like, oh, great, it's going to be one of these leftist, these leftist deals that I got to put up with. And they're going to try and mule me to something. Well, it didn't. He was just talking about his daughter at 3 years old saying that it's not fair. And we've all seen it happen. I didn't get more ice cream. That's not fair. And so I think that we look for it. But like most of the things that happen in slave environments, which is what we're in I don't know if humanity is a slave environment. I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, how do you have the elite that get away with so much stuff, and then the people get treated with such disregard, reckless disregard even? How does that happen? And us put up with it for so long? Because that really is where we're at. We're just tired. We're really tired. Remember what I said before? President Trump, do I have to support him? And what if I support him, do I have to support people like Pam Bondi? It's stuff like I'm about to tell you about that makes me question it, because we don't get a thirst. We get tempted with, we're going to do something right by the American people. But the reality is we don't do any of it. What if I told you the Department of Justice just ended its investigation into Pfizer for possible bribery? After Pam Bondi was appointed Attorney General, the first thing that happened, for almost the first thing, is that investigation went away. So not only, did Diddy get away with what Diddy got away with, but Pfizer got away with killing Americans and bribing people. And everybody goes, well, you don't have any evidence. Now, they'll tell you the circumstantial evidence is the key, and that they can do whatever they want with you with circumstantial evidence. But if you talk to them about circumstantial evidence like math related to the election, they'll tell you that's not evidence. You need to show us the evidence. But you can't look at the code. So again, you're debating the ridiculous. And the reality of it is that Pam Bondi worked as a consultant for the DOJ. Go ahead and put up that story if you would. So Bondi made changes to DOJ policy. Her former client Pfizer might have benefited. Let's go down a little bit so I can show you some of this a little bit quicker, please. For the past several years, pharmaceutical giant Pfizer has been under investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice for potentially foreign corruption violations for its activities in China and Mexico, according to financial filings. But it appears they have changed after the Trump administration tapped Pam Bondi, previously an outside legal counsel for Pfizer, to lead the Justice Department as Attorney General. The company's most recent annual report, filed 3 weeks after Bondi took office in early February, there was no longer any reference to the Justice Department investigation into the company potential violations of the Foreign Corruption Practice Act. A quarterly report in May also contained no reference to the investigation. Take it down. All right. I'll play. You have two choices. You support President Trump, which means you have to support Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. I can go down the line. Or you don't support Trump. And then you got to stand on the side of Kamala Harris. Which one do you do? It's not a real choice. Those are the choices we're given every day, especially on social media. It gets worse. Either you're anti-Elon Musk and you have to automatically say, I knew he was a bad guy and he's a devil and a demon, or you have to support President Trump. You have to get right in the middle of that fight because, you got to show your loyalty to President Trump, right? Loyalty. Not loyalty to your country, not loyalty to the sovereignty or the preservation of future generations of Americans. No. You have to show your loyalty, your fealty to Trump or Elon Musk. Which one are you going to choose? That's your choice. You only have two. And this is where conflict becomes untenable. I think President Trump does it best. He's like, you can already tell he doesn't like little midget Zelensky. He doesn't like Netanyahu. But he knows that, all right, they had their usefulness. So President Trump is talking about a statement on Russia Monday. Let's go ahead and put this up. This is actually on RT, which I'm a regular commentator on. Let's go ahead and play cut 2.
Tom, that's right. The president said he's disappointed in Russia and told us he thinks he'll have a major statement to make about Russia on Monday. Though when pressed, he did not say what that statement will be. The president also said he just made a deal today with NATO in which he says the U.S. will send weapons to Ukraine through NATO, and NATO is, quote, paying for those weapons 100%, including the Patriot air defenses that Ukraine has been asking for, and that NATO will distribute them. We reached out to NATO tonight. No response yet, Tom.
And now Andrew Weissman, a key player in the plot against President Trump, is arguing that Brennan and Comey should be protected by the 5-year statute of limitations, which it does protect them, except for it doesn't protect President Trump when he was being attacked. But I digress. Let's go ahead and listen to this clown.
It's also notable, if you're thinking about sort of what's going on, there is normally a 5-year statute of limitations to bring a criminal case. My first reaction to this was, excuse me? I mean, not only is there nothing I know that would suggest there should be a criminal investigation, but of course, as you noted, we don't obviously know everything that would be within the department. So giving them the benefit of the doubt, I don't think they deserve it. But let's say we do that. It's still totally unclear how they're going to have a criminal investigation if what they're looking at is something that happened in 2016. That is not something within a 5-year statute of limitations. I don't do math publicly, but even I can do that math.
I don't do math publicly. There's the foreign, what do they call it? The formerly atheist, godless group. He's a part of it. And what's becoming more evident to people is that we're not anti-Semitic. We don't want to be slaves. And the reason why people don't like me within the Con Inc. deal is because I have a zero tolerance for stupidity. I was told by one of my partners today at lunch that, Joe, I never have to wonder what you're thinking. And, yeah. Well, I got to tell you, it is, I'm still a little bit disappointed that Matt walked off the state, but I do understand why. He's 26 years old. He has 3 young girls. He has a beautiful wife. He has a home. Who wants to think about something so terrible? And I just started to realize as I'm sitting here talking to you guys that most people haven't been through what I've been through. I can promise you DC Drano has not, and Jack Bersobic is not, and Steve Bannon is not. I can go down the line. I mean, they didn't go through it. Not even my friend Kyle Seraphin. He didn't go through it, what I've been through. I'd like to say that I still like people, and I shouldn't. And the last 5 years has shown me that I don't know why I like people. Because they sure have disappointed me over the last 5 years. But it's difficult. I remember when my daughter was young. I remember in 2020 when they threatened my family. And I came on this podcast and I said, if you go near my family, I will not kill you. I will kill your entire family. I will kill everyone associated with you. And then I will come for you. Imagine what you'd have to go through in your mind to say those things. And what you've had to have gone through in your life to get to a point where you're willing to do all of those things because of something that somebody would do to somebody in your family. And then imagine being 26 and not having going through any of that. Never have seen that before. Never lived a life that was, there was a lot of violence. And so you live a life that is sheltered from that. And so the comments that you made, the couple comments that were made about, Matt can't handle it. Nope. And that's actually why I don't even know how mad he's going to be. I don't know. But that's actually why he's a person that he has a very innocent life, very innocent standard in his life. And I want him to not become jaded, but to realize that you're heading into a harder time. Like you're 26 and your kids are coming up through it. Everyone is gunning for your family. Imagine that. If you have lots of kids and you're not homeschooling your children and, they're coming for you. So how do you, so what I said to him is very real because the choices that they're giving you today are a lot less than they ever gave me. And the inner city, which you had a 1 in 1,000 or 1 in a million chance of getting out of it, or out of poverty, 1 in a million chance. Now that chance is 1 in 10 million, 1 in 20 million. It's almost not even worth trying, which is, I think, what the young people are saying to us today. They're saying to us that why bother? Just go get an OnlyFans account, sell your body, and just hope for the best. That's the choice that they're making. And that's the only choice that are being given. No trade schools, no opportunity, just slavery, ownership, and satisfaction on things that you'll never build any future on. If that's not a black pill, I don't know what is. But that's why I know that you guys got to have a whole lot more grace for where Matt is, because some of the young people that do listen to the show that I get stuff on or emails from say the same thing. Hey, I appreciate the perspective from both of you. Okay, let's see here. Susan had you were 24 with 3 kids, Susan? Look at you. Oh, wow. Allie says, with what Joe has been through, it's a miracle he has the joy, grace, and light he has. By the grace of God. And I have my moments. Joe has the light of God. Jolly, I hope that's true. And they are coming for all of our kids. Allie says they're coming for all of our kids no matter how they're raised. Oh, yes, I'm absolutely going to let Matt come back, which is the question. See, this is where people start to miss you, Matt. They're going to yell at you, get mad at you, but they're still going to miss you. Let's see what else we got here in comments. It's a hard question to ask. And the fact is I probably shouldn't have asked it with Winter sitting there. But I knew the reaction he would give me would be one that he couldn't control. So it's a life lesson. And I told him I would teach him some things. Let's see on Pilled what it says. Keep True said, Matt's a smart young man. He will understand. Agree, people have gotten strange, but even in experience is a learning event to be remembered. I would like to see the future history writings. Yeah, me too. Yeah, we're going to pray it out. But before we pray it out, because it is Friday, what if I ended on a little bit of humor before we pray it out? A French appeals court just overturned the conviction against the two women accused of libel against the French First Lady, Brigitte Macron. Play this.
Brigitte Macron, as you know, has a libel trial against Natasha Ray, who made the claims that the French First Lady was born a man called Jean-Michel Trogneux. It's due to take place imminently, and we will get to the bottom of this. And I'll bet you, why don't we have like £100,000 bet that it establishes beyond any doubt to a charity of your choice and mine, $100,000, make it dollars, right now, that it is established beyond any doubt that she was born a woman. Do you accept that bet?
Make it rain, Piers. Make it rain, okay? Because, look, first and foremost, 100,000 pounds. Can we look up what that means in U.S. dollars? Let's see what that... $136,000. I'll round it up. Let's round it up to $1 there. 136,000 U.S. dollars are mine.
The two women... A French appeals court just overturned the conviction against the two women accused of libel against French First Lady Brigitte Macron after they proved she was a he. I'm just telling you right now that if you're saying that, hey, it can't be true, it's conspiracy theory, they proved that she is a he, that the French president is actually gay. Hey, I'm sorry. I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do about it. And I just want to know what's up with all the leaders in foreign countries being married to dudes. I mean, you have Barack Obama. Ooh. What? So you think that this is going to come out? You think someone accidentally has Michael Obama skin a knee, and then we find out that it's actually a dude? It could happen. It could happen. All right. I think I'm done. You think anything else? Do I need to talk about something? Did you say I need to talk about something? We have our Liberty Fest this weekend. I will be there in Battle Rattle. So if you're in Colorado, please come by and see me. We have Castle Rock and East on Saturday, DCF Guns East, and then we have Sunday, we have DCF West in Colorado Springs as well. It should be a good time. We'll have, I don't know if there's going to be a bouncy house, but there'll be a car show there, and it should be fun. It should be fun. We should have a good time. But come out, it's Castle Rock and DCF East. I'll be at the Castle Rock location. I may go down to the East location just for a little bit, but more often than not, I will be at the Colorado Springs, at the Castle Rock store. So come say hello to me. Yes, there will be security there because I'm there. So just if somebody grabs you, it's not me. If I don't recognize you, you probably will not be able to get that close to me to start with. So it's just a precaution based upon, the really fun people that like to still do and say things. And so I look forward to seeing if you can make it out there. We'll have some food trucks out there, and It should be a lot of fun. We'll have some nonprofit organizations out there as well that we're going to be supporting, and we're doing great giveaways. With that said, we keep talking about who our sponsors are for the show. I've got a couple new sponsors that are going to be coming on that I think you're going to be really happy with. I'm pretty excited about those, but we do have Goldco as a partner. You can go to untamedgold.com. I just want to thank them for the support, and yeah, pretty cool deal to go. I can say hi to you on the video there. And then AMAC, which the AMAC deal, which is, we struck a deal with them so they get you a 1-year membership. I think it's going to run out in a little bit, only because I have to pay for it. So just get into it when you can, because it's kind of a fixed fee for me to get you some of these benefits. So go to amac.com/untamed, right? Got it? Okay, good. Other than that, yeah. Entry fee, Joe. What entry fee for what? Oh, DCFS. No. Come on out. And there's a beer place right up on top. I quit drinking. I'm like 10 and a half months in. It's pretty crazy of not drinking, which has been really fun for me. It's been life-changing, I think. And there's no entry fee. You could just show up and have a good time. Maybe buy a gun, buy some ammo, have a little bit of fun. Everything will be on sale, I think. And we've got about $5.5 million. There'll be vendors on hand with some pretty cool guns that they have there. But about $5.5 million in inventory at any one time. So it should be quite a bit of fun. And I'll be there. So it'll be great fun, because I'll be there. Wear your hat so I can see you. You're wearing the hat, then I can definitely see you. All right, that's it. Shall we pray? When is this? It is tomorrow. It is tomorrow and Sunday. So if you can come on out. It is tomorrow. Starts at 10 o'clock. Goes to about 6 or 7. And it is crazy. It is probably the biggest sales day that we have ever. It gets really, really crazy, but it's super fun. And you can come out and have a good time. You can shoot on the range. You can try it before you buy it. Pretty neat stuff. So please come out. All right, let's pray. And we're going to pray for Matt. That's what we're going to pray for today, because Matt's wife is pregnant, and I probably threw a little flame on the fire. I think it's more the stress of all the other stuff he's going with, but yeah. So we're going to pray for Matt. Okay. Father God, wow. We are very grateful for all of the blessings that you've poured into our lives. And as we sit here and complain about things that sometimes we can change and sometimes we can't, we're just reminded of just the gifts that you've given us, the relationships that we have, the family, the fruit of our tree, the things that we are rewarded for being faithful and being patient. Father, I'm eternally grateful for, I know I just complained about the entire last 5 years. But I'm thankful for the life that you've given me, the mind that you've given me, the children that you've given me, the wife that you've given me, the trials that you've put me on, and the tests that you've had me take, some that I've passed and others that I've certainly failed. I'm thankful for the relationships in my life, Father, but I'm even more grateful that I get to have a relationship with you. And it's different because I didn't know the relationship that I had here with my children could have such an impact on the relationship that I heal to have with you. So thank you. Father, we just had it was kind of a big deal. I mean, Matt's pretty mad at me right now. But I just ask that you protect his marriage and protect his wife and the pregnancy, and you ease some of the tensions that he has and some of the things that he's going through now. And I also ask, Father, that you give him the strength to kind of see through the whys, like the why you give me a sharp tongue and you have me teach people things, but sometimes sometimes those things they're a lot. So Father, he's got a lot of courage, and he's got a lot of goodness, and I'm not sure I want him to get the experience that I had in order to get to a place where he has the wisdom. So Father, I just ask you to make him wise beyond his years and give him the strength to kind of fight uphill if necessary. Father, I ask you to bless those that are listening, that they may not feel as if things are hopeless, and that you could lift those burdens off of their shoulders. You can give them the ability to see clearly what path we need to stay on as people, and that we can love on each other even when we disagree. And there's a big prayer, Father, I ask for, and that is the prayer of forgiveness, that I can get to a place where I can forgive more freely, because I think that's my biggest obstacle personally. So I ask you, Father, that you can give me that ability to kind of see past the focused anger that I seem to have in some cases. Father, I ask you to bless people as they go about their business this weekend, that they may do so well. And I ask you to bless our leadership, bless President Trump, and to put it on the hearts and minds of the people in President Trump's administration, that they can do the right thing by the American people. They can be unselfish and in their decision-making to protect the American people and not see us as slaves or subjects, but as co-contributors in this thing we call life. I say these things, Father, humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope you had a great day. Remember, hit the up button if you would on your way out on Rumble. And yeah, I know it's gonna stay around 200 because I'm gonna find something other than Rumble. I think that's definitely gonna be on the cards. And yeah. So we'll do that. Have a great weekend. Stay frosty, and we'll see you soon. God bless you.